So hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial video, I would like to show you how to create a login and registration form with authentication with React and Firebase. Yes guys, with React and Firebase. If till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. So without wasting the time, let's jump into the video. So alright guys, as you can see up here, this is a form that I have already created. Now I'm going to enter an email and password. So let me enter my email. And the password I'm just gonna keep. Okay, great. So now as you can see, we are having three buttons below in this form. One is for signing in, one is for creating an account, and one is for logout. Great. So now when I just click on this create account button, it should create an account for me, and the Firebase is directly going to log into my account. As you can see, programmer@gmail.com, the Gmail that I have entered for creating my account. Now if I go to my Firebase and reload it over here, we can see our mail that I have used for creating my account is being appeared over here. Great. So now let me come to my form, and now when I just click on logout, it is going to log out me from my account. And now if I need to sign into my account, I'll be entering my Gmail and password that I have already created. And now when I just click on sign in, as you can see, I am signed in to my account and my mail is being appeared over here. So this is the project that we are going to create in our today's video. So without wasting the time, let's start creating our login and registration form with React and Firebase. Alright guys, so the first thing is that come to console.firebase.google.com website and create your Firebase project over here. Alright, so I have already created it as authentication for my YouTube video. So come to your project. After coming to your project, you need to come to the settings icon at the left hand side, click on it, come to project settings. Then scroll down and up here you can see the configuration. Just click on this radio button and copy the code below. And then come back to your VS Code editor. So let me just open my sidebar from here, and as you can see, this is my app.js file which is empty. This is my firebase.js file. Alright, and just ignore this index and CSS file, alright, because I'm not gonna show you how to style the form. We are just only gonna work with the backend. So just copy the code from the Firebase website and paste it inside firebase.js file. As you can see, I have already pasted it. Great. If you have done that, you are all set. Okay, then what you need to do is come to this authentication tab, and after coming to that authentication tab, just click on this sign in method over here and just enable this email and password. So I have already enabled it. Great. And now we can come back to the users. That's it. Great, we are all set. Now I have already tested it, so I'm just gonna delete this account from here, and then let's click on this delete button. All set. Now I'm just gonna make my browser screen smaller so it will be really easy to view and open my React app. So as you can see, we can see a blank page because we have not written any code in our app.js file that will be rendered in front end, so we can't see anything over here. Okay, so before working with our app.js file, just complete your firebase.js file and then you can just close it. Okay, after you have pasted the code that you have copied from the Firebase website. Okay, after you have copied that, come to the website, open the side panel, come back to the settings, project settings, come back to the page, After coming over there, scroll down. Oh, sorry, why I'm scrolling my browser. Just scroll down and just copy this command, that is npm install Firebase, and install it in your project, and you will be all set. Great. Now, in your firebase.js file, after installing the Firebase in your project, you need to import some statements over here. So write the import statement within the curly braces, import the initialize, am I correct? Yes, initialize app from Firebase app folder. Am I correct? Yes. And the second import statement is going to be for our getAuth function. So import the getAuth method from Firebase auth command, or you can see the auth folder or a directory. It totally depends on you. After we have created these two import statements, now we need to create two variables after we have pasted our Firebase configuration code. So create a const, and the variable name I'm going to keep it as app, that is equal to, we are going to be using the initialize app method over here. Great. In this method, I'm going to provide, or I'm going to call my Firebase configuration, in which I'm having all of my keys, which you can see over here. So I'm just gonna call this variable. Let me copy with command plus C and paste it inside this initialize app method. Great, all set. After doing that, we are going to export a variable. I'm going to create it as auth variable, that is equal to get auth method. All right, get auth method. In this method, I'm going to pass my app variable name. That's it. So what is this doing? It is creating configuration for your Firebase. And what is this gonna do? This is an auth variable that is exported as default, so we can use it outside of our firebase.javascript file, and we can work with our Firebase backend. Great, all set. So now we are done with this firebase.js file. Now we can just close it because we are not going to work with it more, and now we can just come to our app.js file, create our form, and then work with all of its functionalities. So import React from React. Then I'm going to import the auth that was created in firebase.js file. Do you remember it? Yes. So I'm going to import the auth from /firebase.js file. Great and cool. Now we are going to be having the another import statements that is going to import some of these methods from Firebase /auth folder. So the first thing that we are going to be importing, that is going to be create user with email and password. Then we will be using the on auth state changed method over here. Then we are going to be having our sign out, and then we are going to be having this sign in too. Okay, so sign in with email and password. Great, all is set. We are ready to go. So after using this import statement, after you're done with the import statements, create an app function that will be rendered in front end. And that app function should return something. So by default, I will say this app function to return a heading that will be displaying login form. And now I need to export this function by default. So I'll be using the export default and my function name, that is app. When I just do that, it should display me login form in my browser, and as you can see, it is being displayed. That means we are going in a correct track. So now let's design our form. That means login and registration form. So I'm going to remove this h1 tag, and now it's going to cause us an error because we are not having anything to return. Alright, so in this return I will be having a div which is going to be having a class name for styling it, that is going to be login underscore container. In this div we are going to be having a h4 tag that is going to display the user logged in. Great. And after this h4 tag I will be having my h2 tag that is going to display the form name, that is going to be the login form. So I'm just going to display login by default. Now I will start working with my forms. So I'm going to create a form tag. In this form tag I'm going to be having the h5 tag for my email label. And now let me create an input. That input is going to be having a type of text for now by default. Alright, and after my email input I will be creating a password label. And now let me create an input for my password, which is going to be having a type of password. Great. After this input I will be having a button for signing in, which is also going to be having a class name for its styling, that is going to be login underscore sign in. Great. And the button display name is going to be same, of course, sign in button. Great. And it is being displayed true. After this button I would like to display a paragraph related to some informations. Alright, so I will write an information that is going to be, if you have not created your account, click the button below to create a new fresh account, and you are all set with the paragraph. After this paragraph I would like to display a button for creating my account as it's displayed in the information. So let me create a button. This button is going to be having a class name for styling it, that is going to be login underscore register, and the button display name is going to be create a account. Okay, great. And create an account button is being displayed in my form. After the create an account button I would like to display a button for logout. So let me create a button which is going to be having a class name, and I will name it as login underscore logout, the class name that I have provided to it in CSS file. And the text that I would like to display is going to be logout as simple. Great, and that looks really cool. So as you can see over here, we have successfully created our login and registration form. So don't worry about the source code. The source code will be provided to you and the link will be in the description below. Just come to my website, come to the source code section, view all, and then you can just search for all of the source code that you need. If you need the source code for it, it will be available with the thumbnail. Just click on that, download the source code, or even you can view it live and test the app live. Correct? Great. So now let's work on the functionalities for our login and registration form. So now as you can see over here that we have created our input. Now when the user enter the text in this input, we need to save that input in a variable so we can just get that. So for that we are going to be using the use state hook. Alright, so now what we are going to do over here is that just come to your first import statement, add a comma after React, create a curly braces, and import use state hook from React. Okay, you are all set. After that, you need to just come before the return inside your app function, create a const with square brackets. The first state variable that I'm going to create is for my email input. Email dot set email, that is equals to use state hook, and I'm just gonna set it as an empty string. Now I'm going to create my second state variable that will be for my password. That is equal to use state hook, and I'm also gonna set it as an empty string. Great, cool. So now what I need is I need to use this variable as my input data that the user is gonna enter and save it in this state. So for doing that, what I'm going to do over here is that I'm just gonna come to this email input first, and I'm just gonna set its value that I would like to display is going to be my email variable. And when the user changes the text in our input, that text will be set up as our email variable. So on change, just use on change, create a parenthesis, and we're just gonna fire an event over here. So I'll be using the e, then use the arrow, again a curly braces, and now you can set your email. So I'm going to be using my set email method over here and set it to event dot target dot the value that the user have entered in the input. Great, all set. Same thing we are just gonna do with our set password. Just come to the input of set password, set its value to password, on change, fire an event, and then set your password to the event target of the value that the user have entered in the input. Great, save it, and if now you're not getting any kind of an error in your browser, all set, you are in a good track. Cool. So now we are storing our inputs and our password inputs data in our two state values over here. So now we need to fire a event, a function, when the user clicks on create a account. The first thing is that we are going to be adding the functionality for creating an account for the user. Alright, so just come to this create a account button, and what you need to do is, let me just close my sidebar so it will be really easy for you all guys to see the code clearly. And I'm just gonna say on click of this button, I'm just gonna call a function that is going to be register, and now you're gonna get a big fat error. It's not a big fat error, it's just a simple error because we have not defined our register function yet. So let me define it over here. Let me create a const register that equals to a parenthesis, then arrow and a curly braces. Great. And the error is disappeared. So now how can we add the user? How can we create an account for the user? Okay, so for doing that, we are just going to be using the async await in this function. So let me just use async in this functionality, and let me just use an argument of an e to get the event that is fired. And now I'm gonna select my event and prevent it as default. So why am I using this prevent default method over here in this function is because when the user will click on a create a account button, I mean to say over here, I don't need to reload my page. Directly the account will be created without refreshing the page. Cool. Okay, so now let's register a user. So for registering the user, we are going to be using the try and catch. So in this catch, if we are having any error, I would like to display it in the alert. So I'll be using the alert, and the error that we are having, I need to display its message. Cool. We are all set. Now let's try to do. So in try, I'll be creating a variable of a user over here, and remember we have imported this create user with email and password from our Firebase auth folder. We need to use it over here in this variable. When the user clicks on the register button, we are firing this function, and this function is gonna try to do this. So this is not cost, this is const. Alright, so this function is gonna create user with email and password. In this, we are gonna be taking the authentication. That means the connection, the configuration file of our Firebase that is set up in firebase.js file. Am I correct? Yes. So we can use Firebase in our project, and we are gonna create it with our email and password, the variable name that we have created for our state values, which you can see over here, email and password. Just use it over here. After it's done, you can just console.log the user to check whether it is working fine or not. So now we can come to our browser screen and see whether our functionality for creating an account is working or not. So let me just make my browser in a full screen, and the login form looks bit odd. Don't worry about it at all. We are not focusing on the front end, we are just focusing on the back end. Just right click and click on inspect. It's gonna open an inspector for you in Chrome. So remember to use Chrome as your development browser. Don't use Firefox or any other browsers, just use Chrome. If you are using React, or if you are a developer, I know you are going to be using the Chrome, but it's just a small reminder. Now we can just come to this console. Great, just ignore these errors over here. Alright, but they're saying the register is not defined, a render with hooks. Just ignore it. Just reload the page back again. Alright, so now we are getting our form over here. Cool, there's no error being displayed. That will get sometimes when we are just writing the code or changing something in our code. Now we can just come to our email input and enter our email over here. So before entering our email, I need to just show you my Firebase project. Inside the Firebase, let me just come to project overview, come to my project. Let me just open this side panel and come to the authentication tab. After that, as you can see, there's no user for this project yet. When I just create my account, there will be the user. Let's see. So let me enter my email over here, and now let me enter my password. Great. And now when I just click on create a account, it is showing me a promise over here. When I just open that promise, it is fulfilled. Now if I just come to my Firebase and reload it, as you can see, there is a mail registered that I have used for creating my account is displaying in my Firebase project. Cool. So this is how we create an account with Firebase and React. And now we are gonna see how to log out from your account. So let's start. Let me just do my Chrome in a small screen and work with the logout functionality. So for adding the logout functionality, I'm just gonna scroll down over here, and this is my logout button. What I'm gonna do over here is that I'm gonna say that when the user clicks on this button, I'm gonna fire a function that is going to be logout, and now I need to define this logout function. So let me define it after my register function. Logout function over here, or a component. It totally depends on you what you would like to use. And in this logout function, we are going to be using the async. Mostly we're not going to use it, so I'm just going to remove it. Okay, I'm just going to remove that async. And in this function, when the user clicks on logout, we are firing this function. And what is this function going to do? we're just going to pass an argument of an E, and we're just going to prevent it as default, so our page is not going to reload as I said you. And after that, I would like to use the await function. We are going to be using the await, so let me just define async over here, and in this await I would like to use the sign out method that I have imported from Firebase auth folder. So let me use this sign out method, and in this sign out method we are just gonna pass our authentication. That means the specific user that have created his account will be logged out. So now let me just save it by pressing Command plus S, come to my project. Okay, so now I really don't know whether I'm logged in or not. So how will I log out? That is the confusion over here. So forget to know whether I am logged in or not, because when you just create your account in with Firebase, the Firebase is directly gonna log into your profile anyway you say. Alright, so I'm just gonna say profile. So now to display the email of the user, if the user is logged in, we are going to create a state value over here, and I'm going to name that state value as user. Set user that equals to a use state hook, and I'm gonna not set it as an empty string, I'm gonna set it as an empty object. So don't forget, just follow the steps that I'm doing. Alright, and after that, after creating that state value, just write on auth state changed. In this method we are going to be having our authentication, and I would like to use the fat arrow function over here and pass it an argument of current user. Don't worry about it, if you're not gonna get it, I will be explaining you in a bit. And now we are just gonna set our user in this function to our current user. Great, cool, we are going in a good track. After we have done that, where we would like to display the user's email, we would like to display the user's email after this h4 tag. So we are going to be using the curly braces over here, and the variable that I have created, that means the state variable, that is user, I will be using this chaining operator, so we are not gonna get any error, concatenate operator, and after that I would like to select the user's email. When I just do that, as you can see, my email is being displayed over there, and I am successfully logged in to my mail. So if now I just click on logout to check the logout functionality, that's why only I have just shown you how to display the user's Gmail. So now when I just click on logout, I should be logged out from my account. As you can see, now I am logged out from my account. Great and cool. Now you will be confused over here what I have done while writing this on auth state changed method. So what happens if you're directly, even if you're not using this state variable over here, if you are just scroll down over here and just remove this user chaining operator with email and use the curly braces, select your auth dot the current user dot the email of the user. It will also display you the Gmail of the user, but you are gonna get an error over here. What is that error is gonna be? That error is gonna be when you're just gonna refresh your page, you're just gonna get a blank screen, as you can see now on my browser screen. So that is why we are using this state. Okay, so I'm just gonna come back, I'm just gonna remove this user chaining operator dot the user's email. Cool. So I will explain you the code that we have written over here. So let me just uncomment it out. So I just created a state variable of user. I am using this on auth state changed. That means when the user log out and refresh the pages, we need to display the user that the user is logged in. So For that, I'm selecting my authentication, comma, we are using a fat arrow function, or you can just simply think that it's a function. We are passing it an argument of current user. Then we are setting our user to the current user that is logged in if the user refreshes the page. Great. And then we are using this state variable over here where we would like to display the user's Gmail. I mean to say over here, the state variable chaining operator dot what we would like to display. We would like to display the email of the current user, and it is displaying over here. So now I have just logged out, so let me just create a new account to check it out. Oh, by mistakenly I've just clicked it empty. I'm just gonna enter my email as test@gmail.com. It's not gmail.com, it's gmail.com. And now I can enter my password as test123456. That's it. And now when I just click on create account, my account will be created, and after that Firebase is going to directly log me into my profile and displaying my Gmail over here. And now if I just come to my Firebase, refresh, we can see the another mail is also created account. That means another user have also created an account. Great. So now if I just refresh my app, as you can see, the Firebase, only the Firebase is doing these things. Alright, the Firebase is logging me in back to my account because I have logged into my account, and then I'm refreshing it. So this is the power of Firebase and React. Great. So now we are done with creating an account and log out functionalities. Now we are going to be adding the sign in functionality. It is simple. Sorry. What you need to do over here is that for adding the sign in functionality in your login form, what you need to do is just come to your register function. This is the register function. Yeah, am I correct? Just copy that function and paste before the register function, and I'm just gonna change the name of this function to login. Okay, that's it. And this function will be fired when the user just click on the sign in button. So I'm just gonna add a on click over here. So when the user clicks on this button, I am just gonna call login function. And when the function is fired, what I'm going to do over here is that I am going to sign in the user with their email and password. So let me use the import statement that I have imported over here. As you can see, sign in with email and password. So SIGNIN with email and password. Just do that and you are all set. We are all set with our project. So now to test it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it. I'm going to come to my project and log out from the account. And now I'm logged out. So now I'm just going to be using the previous email that I have used for creating my account to signing in to my account. So let me use it over here. That is test@gmail.com, and the password is test123456. Great. Just click on the sign in button and you should see your Gmail displayed over here. That means you are successfully logged into your account. So this is how you create a working login and registration form with the authentication with React and Firebase. If you understood the video clearly, please comment down below that the video was really helpful, and I will get inspired to create more videos like this. So if till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.